position. So what we're seeing here is just entering into another spree of expenditure that is unnecessary. However, I think making it easier for the CSs would have been still ideal, so that they can be efficient, effective in their service, because the responsibility of a CS when he is away, we can say that we have every other official, but I think since this is somebody who has come in politically, is unlike the other person who has been there on employment. So the factors affecting both positions in running a ministry, I think the mindset is different. One runs it politically, but to the benefit of Kenyans. The other one runs it professionally. That is the PS downwards. So if you leave it to the PS, maybe, and they're the ones who are running everything else, I think when the CS is away, I think there's some things that they are able to share out with the CS to keep things, on check. Yes. Because you can be messed up. You can be messed up big time down there by your juniors if they are influenced politically, and we've seen this happen. You see some PS accused of messing up, a minister or CS. That time, that's I'm talking about historically, yes. What has been there, being used, and these are things that sometimes somebody would like somebody who has a similar, who is in a similar, chopped off a similar garment that is political, to be able to assist in certain ways. So one thing I'm trying to say, I've only spoken louder about the political aspect of it, but in terms of service delivery, I think it's supposed to be a cohesive collective responsibility for a ministry per se, the whole of it, right from CS to the messenger and the list of them in the ministry, in any ministry. So that is to the benefit of all other Kenyans. That is why we have these officers. So the CAS currently, I think, would have been shelved because they can manage. But again, when you brought down the ministries to 21, somehow I think the responsibility is somewhat enormous. But we would get to the details of this if we would get into a real research on what exactly is the responsibility of CSA, CSB, CSC, CSD, in whatever ministry they are in. Yes. Yeah.
That is interesting. Well, we also do hope that they will find a way of reducing that. If you consider the amount of money they will be taking home individually, and also you look at our ministry, a CS has a PS, then you also have a CAS. That makes it a whole expensive affair, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because you see, it's synonymous with African system of governance. We want to have our roots deep rooted to the ground. So we are in government up there, but we still want to have our roots tapping the ground. And this is what has happened. When you see the CSs could be useful, especially to the executive, the top of the executive, in so many ways. Because he wouldn't like to have autonomous CSs. He would like to have people who are able to be, managed. And as like any leader, I would also like to micromanage. So these rewardees, and I'm calling them so because usually comes as the people who had lost, but they had really helped you in your campaigns to attain whatever presidency. And this goes for a sitting president, His Excellency William Ruto. And even Raila Odinga also, if he would have become the president, he still had a brigade that was helping him. And so a battalion that was helping him, and definitely he would go for those rewards. Yes. Like any other leader, Kibaki did so, Moi did so, Joe Biden does the same, and everybody else who takes the position of leadership, you must remember where you come from and the people you've come up with. And I believe that's why they created that position. So to me, I don't want to delve into that one so much. We're talking about 400 million is a lot of money, but no, not quite. Yes. Considering the amount of money that is lost through corruption. You go to where we are now, we normal Kenyan citizens, how much we bribe to get whatever services, and how much sometimes we beg to pay the bribes. I see matatus paying bribes every morning, and that runs in terms of hundreds of millions, and that's on a daily basis, you know, and that is taxpayers' money. So when you're talking about, we are complaining about, I think, is it 400 million? Yeah, and we're dishing out to some cops like 100 million or 200 in a day. I think we also need to also check ourselves what we say, because that's why we say when you point with one finger, three fingers are pointing at you. So what part are you playing in trying to mitigate this or even end it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we did see Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was in Embu.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said that we are not to blame for the country's state of economy. Still, the blame game is still on. But he said some of the interventions that the Kenya Kwanza government has put in place. One thing I don't understand is every time they speak is they say we have interventions, but they do not highlight specific interventions. Is it really there, or is it a theory?
Well, if we are very keen enough, there's a lot that is going on, and even I'm shocked to see that it's only 360 million that the president has spent. I thought it's 48 trips would add up to $1 billion, but 360 million is exiguous for us to complain, unless it's a propaganda we are creating. If he goes out there, like the way he went to COPs and came up COP28 and came back with 680 million, 80 billion. Okay, so how much did the trip cost? Let's give it 50 million.
Yes.
But you come back with 680 billion. Sometimes when we are complaining, I think we should first get down to, you know, the history of it and get to where we are and see whether it's worth criticizing or we just propagandists. So Kenyans is becoming a nation of propagandists, and we are picking everything that is spoken negative against the government. And we are not seeing the actual thing, because now that's just one example. Okay, he goes to Dubai, wins employment for the youth, goes to Germany, goes to Britain, goes to Canada, and gets this kind of favors. Once we begin to talk about, oh, what does the diaspora do? How much are we getting from the diaspora? And he's expanding the diaspora where the money is. We are in a crisis in Kenya. They're not in such a crisis in other countries. Why don't we take our labor force there? And we are always claiming that we have a very well-trained labor force that is able to fit everywhere. In terms of education, in terms of capacity, all capacity considered, Kenyans, I think, are up there in terms of, labor that is needed by other countries. So when a Kenyan goes to Canada, he's a hot cake, you know. He can communicate, he can work, he's educated. All these things are there. Now, this person earns and brings back to the country, plows it back. I mean, why would I condemn that? Something is wrong.
Yes. So, specifically on the interventions, from where you sit, are there any interventions, or is it just a way of the government speaking to Kenyans or managing Kenyans?
Government managing Kenyans is a must thing, because they must manage. They must manage the community. They must lead the community. To lead a community or to lead a group of people is to manage them. That's why you have managers everywhere. And managers don't just manage resources, they manage even the human resource. That's why it's called a human resource. So managing is not an issue. But what I'm trying to say is that the plans that Kenya Kwanza came in with, I think some of them, and I'm speaking from a perfect example of facilitating production instead of facilitating consumption. You know, consumption was being facilitated last time with subsidies. You go to the account of your bank, pick money, take it there, and you don't expect anything back as a result. But when you pick some money from your bank and invest it in some farmers, invest it in some industries, invest it in some entrepreneurial precepts, then it means that something will be plowed back when it comes to checking the returns. We have seen what has happened. You subsidize fertilizer for production. And when you talk about fertilizer, it's not about maize. people have narrowed their focus to maize. When you talk about fertilizer, we're talking about phosphorus fertilizers. Those who have been in agriculture, they know what they're talking about. But when you talk to a city guy about fertilizer, they don't know this phosphorus, this CAN. And CAN, as a matter of fact, is applicable on many types of vegetation. You can use it on horticulture, and people are using it on horticulture. So you obtain it cheaper to be able to produce tomatoes, cabbages, and all these horticultural products. You're able to do farming large scale because now you can be able to facilitate, check your production, take it higher because you're applying fertilizer and it's cheaper. So when this thing has been brought down, it means you've done something good for farming, and it's not about maize. Is about food. So subsidizing fertilizer is not about maize. No, maize farmers must have gone for it as the majority clique of the society that ran for it.
Yes.
But the others also who are doing other types of farming, if they're not political, they would still go for it. Anyone who does any other form of agriculture, in Eastern Province, in Northeastern, in Western,
yes,
they would go for the fertilizer. So what I'm trying to say is, he's so interested in what would generate income would generate revenue for the treasury. And once that one is done, once he does that facilitation and is still in the process of doing so, then I think we'll be somewhere, maybe towards the end of the year, that is this year, 2024.
Yes.
We might see different results. But I always say you can't plant today and expect to harvest tomorrow. You must expect it to germinate, seed to die, seed to germinate, seed to be weeded around, and take care of it. You tender it all the way to the point of harvest. It's not a miracle that takes place in a day.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think Kenyans, we should say Rome was not built in a day. The economy was in a state that was dire, and it needed quite some attention. And I believe the president has been so calm in dealing with this. And since there is so much propaganda, you do less of defense. Because if the propaganda is superseding the works that are there, in tainting, then I think when time comes for you for painting right, let them taint it. But when time comes for you to paint it right, is when the results come around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now we do have Treasury claims it's broke. Experts say it's all about wastage and luxury. Now, while government says it does not have money to pay salaries or the CDF, reports indicate its spending on luxury trips and hospitality has gone up by up to 30%, with analysts saying much needed money is being diverted to things that can be avoided. These are issues that the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, has been talking about. And remember, last week, Margaret Nyakango was arrested and arraigned in a Mombasa court.
Yeah.
This has been the issues that experts have been saying that the government is, or rather, has missed its priorities. Mm-hmm. It has misplaced priorities. Mm-hmm. It's spending on luxury and some of the issues that Margaret Nyakango highlighted earlier on were the issues to do with fuel guzzlers, use of a big convoy. And last week I did have an expert, or rather an economic expert, who broke down the number of cars that can follow a convoy of CS, be it a convoy of a deputy president, and he broke it down, counting each car, and an approximate number of 130 cars in a day. They're on the move. You talk about fueling the cars, most of them use V8s. Yeah. Talk about maintenance, that is service, wear and tear. So looking at all that, it is actually an expensive convoy with regards to the expenses. Yeah. Now, how does that then becomes an issue to the Treasury? Because the Treasury says that it's broke. This is just actually last week when the CS, Njuguna Ndung'u, appeared in Parliament. In life we have different types of propaganda.
we have social propaganda, economic propaganda, like what you're talking about, political propaganda, like what we had just mentioned. Look at it this way: if he's been in Nairobi and see the CS going home, he has his jeep. There is one vehicle in front with a siren, and there's another one with bodyguards. That's what I see with the CSs. When they're going home, when they're off duty, or when they are not having any duties to carry out. But let's assume that CS for water, maybe, is now going to open a dam. Okay? Who do you expect in that convoy? Is it the CS who is going to fuel the director of Tana Athi vehicle? Because it will be the convoy. Is it the CS who is going to fuel the police cars? Is it the CS who is going to fuel the area MP's vehicle? He will be in the convoy. You know, when somebody does such, unsubstantiated mathematics, unsubstantiable mathematics, it's very wrong. It means that person is out of touch with reality. He's watching a convoy from a TV, and I'm not talking about that guy. I'm talking about the people who are talking like that. You watch a convoy on TV, you see the president going to a certain place, and he's going to discuss or to deal with matters concerning a road project. The Ministry of Roads must be there. The director of the PS ought to be there. Certain directors in certain departments, various departments in the same ministry would be there. The ones on the ground, in charge of the counties, in charge of the sub-county, in charge of, going down there to the village, and the chief's car, they're all there. So when you talk about a convoy, please, let's go to the ministry, see what's in the parking, okay, and see how they leave their area, their office.
Yes.
Yeah. The convoy of 130 vehicles don't park outside the Ministry of Foreign Affairs when he's trying to visit JKI or trying to visit Wilson Airport, or the Minister of Tourism when he's going to Sawela Lodges in, just to check the hotel industry, whatever. I mean, he does not. They don't hoover around 130 vehicles around his office,
yes,
waiting for him so that they can make the convoy to that place. I think that is misquoted.
Yes, talking about the 3 cars that a CS would go home with, bodyguards, the clearance one, and also the personal one that they're using.
Yeah.
Can't it be brought down to 2 instead of 3? Because I can look at that and say that the one who is clearing the road for the CS can drive with the security.
Why do you want the CS to be so exposed? Why do we want the CS to be so exposed? If just a member of the opposition, like maybe the leader of opposition, always has a convoy, why isn't it a problem? But the people from the other side, that side, are the ones who are complaining. You get the point? But they're not complaining about their leaders. They're not in government. Whose money are they using? We shall only hear them when they come to talk about the political party money, okay, where it went, because that is money also that is expended. And now they're going to have more that is coming in under the office of the official opposition, because it must be funded by the government. And still, he will require security as much as any other CS, because we have been talking in Kenya about cartels and many other things. I'm not saying that they are the threats, but what I'm trying to talk about is the threat that can be there sometimes. And that is why some people often opt to have a security, a chase car with security guys, and behind you're checked. I mean, what's the problem with that at the moment? We can say we want to cut down on fuel guzzler vehicles, and then the company I want you to buy those vehicles from is mine. Yeah. We saw that.
So it's just.
I'm the majority shareholder. Let's say Toyota, and I say I want you to buy vehicles from Toyota, and I'm the majority shareholder there, or CMC for that matter, and go for Passats, and still it's business. It happens. Yeah.
Interesting.
So a personal interest is there. But when you hear somebody complaining about security offered to the CSs, I mean, it's only that we would wish to be there, because once they get there, they don't actually complain, because the guys who are CSs today were actually in opposition of another government. Yeah, they said the same thing. Yeah, we saw Passats, we saw then the Range Rovers and whatever came back again within the same government. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about...
So it's neither here nor there.
Let's talk about this issue to do with the President William Ruto's trip for unemployed youth, other issues to do with the COP28 issues. Now, many say that the President has made so many trips within a very short period of time. We also do understand it is his mandate to make business for the country. But the opposition says it's too much. They're spending too much.
Let me ask Kenyans, and I think you can help them answer this question. When you're dealing with somebody on a serious issue, what becomes easier now in terms of communication? Is it going over the phone, mails, and texts and whatever, and doing some posts on FB, or is it going to see that person, sit down, and discuss it? Or is it doing on telecast? What's easier? One-on-one. Definitely. So how can one-on-one happen without trips? This is serious business. We want our youth to go out there. We want market for our products also to be opened up. Okay, because we also doing manufacturing. We also have a culture to sell. There's a lot that goes around the mind of a leader of a government. There's a lot, because he's representing the interest of all people, and they must have presented them in writing, submitted to the president. If this is checked, then he knows. Let me give it to the tourism ministry. And since the tourism ministry is included in these talks that I'm going to have with whichever leader for whatever country, I must carry the tourism CS, the foreign affairs CS, and many others that go with him. And that is all saying that in terms of spending, I thought it was going to be more, but I think it's rational. The trips are many, but I think the expenditure is rational. There was a time somebody complained that there was a minister who had bought, I think is it Mutula Kilonzo who accused Orengo that he went out and bought with Raila Odinga. He went out and bought when he was the PM, Prime Minister. When he was Minister for Lands, he was accused of purchasing a waist belt worth 10,000 shillings. Mushipi.
Back then.
Mushipi. 10,000 shillings. I mean, if it was propaganda, well, we had it. But what I'm trying to say is, now that's extravagance of the highest degree. If it was true, but I didn't hear him complain or defend himself. So if it was true, 10,000 shillings for a belt, you can imagine how much was in the allowance, maybe for the family and friends, because you're coming back with some goodies and such.
Yes. Yeah. But it is still also an issue that Murkomen has been accused of, talk of the kind of watch he's been putting on, or the kind of shirts he's been wearing. Yeah. Still an issue. But
how can you substantiate that that golden watch is 24 karat gold just from seeing it on a screen or watching or seeing it close? We have so many fake things that are being done. I can go buy for you a Seiko 5 watch, fake, up by Wiko Street.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have an original Seiko 5 which I can't really afford at the moment. But what I'm trying to say is that this is Kenya. They see something glittering, it's gold. Yeah.
That is expensive.
So to me that would not be an issue, because buying a glittering watch, if I go to Ronan Gala or Luthuli Avenue or wherever where they sell watches, I think I would get it for 2,000 shillings. A very, very glittery watch, and that's what you see our artists flossing with. This watch is worth 50,000. Of course, I know where they buy them. Some of them, yeah, it's just right here. Kwa wholesale nanunua na 1,500 shillings, but when you pick the name, it's Felipe whatever, you check the brand, it tells you that this thing must have worth whatever amount.
Thousands.
So, yeah. or you bought a Tag Heuer watch, when you go to the internet, the original one would be around even $1 million. Yes. But when you come back to the market, you find the same Tag Heuer right here, manufactured, made in China, and you'll find it looking good, golden. Yeah, when it's brand new and I take the photo, my friend, I'm wearing gold. Yeah, but after a few days, it's going to be brass.
Now, still...
So this is the mindset Kenyans ought to leave, actually. Yes.
Still on matters to do with money, because that is actually what is affecting many. We did see that before the Senate was adjourned last week, we did see a number of senators saying that they have not been...
Mark, you just before you continue, during campaigns, Raila Odinga was wearing a sports shoe that was claimed to have been made by Nike, fully customized for him, at 2.5 million shillings. Okay, it was on papers, it was on dailies, it was everywhere. That
I understand.
That's what it's worth. So when you talk about spending, we spend, people spend.
I do understand that some
of the same Nike thing.
I do understand that some of these government officials, once they travel, there are certain
they get
gifts.
Allowances.
Yes.
Sometimes they get gifts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do understand some of them.
Yeah.
When you're meeting an ambassador from another country, some of them, I do see some of them carry gifts. And if it's that shoe worth 2-point-something million, then you must be lucky, because it's customized specifically for you.
Definitely, and I would still take it if I was the one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It is a gift.
It's a gift.
Now, we did see that senators last week, before the House was adjourned, some of them are complaining that they have not received their allocation money for their offices, to run their offices, pay their staff and all that. And we did see a number of them, actually from the Kenya Kwanza government, they are giving reference to the former Senate leaders, the likes of former Kakamega Member of Parliament who just passed on, Sifuna, saying that there are just a few who stood up and fought for the rights of Kenyans, pushed the government to the wall to ensure they deliver, which is a good thing. But then we do have the issue to do with the disbursement of CDF funds, also what MPs were raising, and all these issues. Is it a matter of government looking for better ways of paying salaries to the staff senates, or rather, is it a matter of let's hold and wait, or is it broke, because that is what the Treasury is saying?
Well, all these channels of squeezing funds from the public coffers, they come in very different facets. CDF, NGCDF, Senator Fund, GAF, and now I hear the wives of governors, not the spouses of governors, because we have Kawira's husband. He's also a spouse.
Yes.
We should use the spouse thing, but they are talking about wives. We're talking about spouses, because she's supporting a governor also. These are just avenues created to, scheme out money from Kenyans. Look at it this way. If education is made free and real free by the government, the executive government, through the ministry, why would the NGCDF be necessary? Because they claim to use it on bursary. It's not necessary. Make it free. The county is there to take care of the development of the county itself. The allocations are done. The ministry also has a hand in whatever development is taking place down there through various departments, maybe through KENHA, if it's the road department, if it's the Ministry of Health, it has its way of reaching to the list of or to the smallest of the hospitals or health centers that we have in the country, wherever they are. And I think every ministry is able to reach the grassroots. So if the government would ensure that this is taking place, Kenyans would be happy. Take an example. If I go to a public hospital right now, this thing of private hospitals in public hospitals is actually choking the public hospitals. And that is where majority of Kenyans are, So when we talk about CDF, assisting in health sector, assisting in education sector, in developments, in various development sectors, I think this is something misplaced, but I think it's just there to please the MPs. However, CDF has been good to a certain extent,
Yes.
because there are people who have benefited from it, and they would actually expect to benefit from it, and especially noting the economy where it is right now, I think it would still come in handy.
Yes.
However, if the government would have made what Kibaki had started in 2002, making education totally free, then I think the CDF would not be an issue. Would not be an issue.
It would have been reduced.
It would have been reduced to something else. Maybe they would have become innovative and maybe offer other support to make life better for Kenyans with the money that would be left with them. But the education bit, the bursary bit, that one would have been dealt with by now.
But we do also understand that it seems education is becoming expensive, especially for tertiary institutions. And if they would have found a better way of reducing the cost of education in tertiary levels, because we do understand that many institutions, tertiary institutions, have been complaining that the government has not yet disbursed funds for the students. Yet the government issued a directive through the CS of Education, Ezekiel Machogu, that do not send the students home. Let them be on the new funding system. The government will disburse the funds.
Yeah. If the funds, if the government would have still went ahead, when His Excellency the President was the Minister for, tertiary education, I think.
Yes.
That time, higher education, I think it was called higher or tertiary education, higher and tertiary education. He had actually mentioned that's when they were in Kibaki's government, that they would actually make primary fully free, paid for. Secondary was actually in the process. They had started with Harambee schools and whatever. Then they would have now completed that process. By now, we'll be having free tertiary education. The problem is still corruption even in the tertiary institutions, because you have seen, even with the amount of money that you're paying in terms of fees, I saw them complaining in a certain TV channel that they're not even, they come out without the practical side of it.
Yes.
So they have too much theory, which is actually offered through Zoom, digitally. But when it comes to practical and you're doing a practical service, they're not there. We, for someone like me who is in the practical or technical field, I will tell you, the guys who are coming out of college today, and you have to take them back to class now to learn the real practical thing under you. What you're trying to say is that yes, education. If these things are made free, even tertiary education itself, then I think. And also the funding now, make it free, but supply all that is needed for the schools. Then have rules, working rules, by the government, enforced. Let's enforce the law. Let it work. So that when this corruption takes place, even in tertiary institutions, our students will be able now to benefit, because the managers of these tertiary institutions are kept in check. But there's a lot of corruption going on right now. And that is what I'm saying. There's so much money that is paid in terms of fees, but when it comes to the results, they only get the degree and that's it, or a diploma for that matter. But I think if rules are put in place, these guys would come out so well refined.
But we also remember we do have MPs who don't want actually such funds to be touched, because you will be affecting their operations per se.
Definitely.
So they would not actually support such initiatives, because none of them wants to lose whatever comes in to their offices.
Yeah. In the world today, everybody is preying on the other, as in anyone you see, you want to see how you want to find out how you can benefit, yourself. Yeah, just from having that person around you. If I see a child, I'd like to see nitatengeneza pesa namna gani. Let me start talking about children molestation, children whatever. Then I begin an NGO, I get the money. That's how it works. But I'm using other people's children. Let me start off something. Anything that anybody does, even the media itself, is targeting a certain group of people so they can make money. The dailies may choose never to sell the truth, but sell propaganda, and it does sell. That's a product by itself, and it's a strategy. So what you're trying to say is that these things, I mean, this is where the world is right now. This is where the world is right now. Yeah. So everybody wants to benefit from the other person. Akufinyilie, remain poor, so that I can have something to say every 5 years, and I can also have something to talk about for the next 5 years. Oh, we have the poor people with barrios, we have the poor people with this, we have the poor people with that, you know, all these things. It comes from NGCDF. I don't think so. I don't think so, but that's how it is.
Interesting. Now, what next for Azimio? Will they survive being together? Remember, it is only Odinga who is supporting the report, saying it is a good start for us.
Like I said, why wouldn't he? The Kenya Kwanza government said that position should be funded by government during campaigns. It should be funded. So why would it be a problem with him? He's going to enhance his political agenda to be able to, you know, get to where he would wish to be, because now he's being funded, you know. But what I'm trying to say is that you're being funded to run an office. He's being funded to run an office. But in the process, definitely running that office is getting around every corner of the country, you know, to sell your ideas, agendas, and everything, because it must work like that. Because you'll never hinder the office of the official opposition to gather information from the root, from the ground. So definitely he'll have to create a structure. So it will require money. And like I said, I know it's not going to be, it might not be anything below 1 billion, yeah, for that office. So why would he reject it? But when he took the Kenyans to the streets, it was about cost of living. It was about rejecting the election of President William Ruto. But when after sitting down, maybe after various visits and meetings, he has come to a point of agreeing that he's the president. And they're also addressing His Excellency President William Ruto as President of the Republic of Kenya, who he is, yes, rightfully. But the opposition itself, like I said long time ago, it will not stand the test of time. It will remain ODM because ODM has been Azimio.
Yes. Because
going by the math, Mount Kenya did not offer more than 800,000 votes to Azimio. And that's not through Martha Karua, the deputy. It was through Uhuru Kenyatta, the Jubilee side. Okay? The Jubilee side is already split. The deputy to the Azimio chief has already rejected the proposals. So it means I mean, ideally, they are not in agreement. Okay? So this is going to head somewhere. Eugene Wamalwa will try to play the Western politics because he'll be so isolated. You can't have the number 3 there and you still have somebody else you're fighting for to become closer, get closer to, you know, the top of executive, and then you want to play opposition in Western Kenya. So Eugene Wamalwa has done the maths and he knows that it's time for me now to tone down. So Eugene Wamalwa will tone down by stepping away from, you know, aggressive Raila support politics. Yes. Yeah.
Hold that thought there. We shall be right back in a couple of minutes to try and understand specifically. I did see a very sound support of Azimio, that is Odinga, ODM itself, is saying that it is just a matter of if Martha Karua, you do not agree with Odinga, you are free actually to leave. But he was insisting that for the longest time, ODM has been calling their supporters to come out and strike or rather protest against the government. But the fraction of the impact these other parties have brought to Azimio is not that significant.
Yeah.
Well, we shall be back in a couple of minutes to just talk about that in depth.
Through the morning rush and the buzz, find a voice you can trust, a voice of reason, a voice of direction, and a voice of hope.
morning. Welcome to the Morning Live. I'm Cynthia Nanjala.
And I'm Sammy Adika. Rise and shine, folks. We hope you are ready for an energizing start to your day.
Absolutely. We are here to bring you the latest headlines and trending news stories from the world of politics,
business and finance, health and lifestyle,
agriculture and sports.
So grab your coffee, sit back and get ready for a fantastic morning of engaging discussions and news segments.
Join us through our social media handles, #The Morning Live. This is Morning Live, exclusively on EBN TV.
Walisema mnywa maji kwa mkono mmoja,
kiu yake ipo pale pale. Ndiposa tumekuletea wewe mtazamaji wetu
mkono mwingine ili kukata kiu yako na ari yako ya ufahamu.
Naam, ngoma imechezwa mtazamaji, basi hatuna budi kulisakata kukuletea wewe ufahamu wa kaunti yako,
tukiangazia masuala ya siasa na uongozi,
jamii na itikadi,
maendeleo na changamoto katika kaunti yako. Ungana nami Belinda William,
nami Emmanuel Marwa
kwenye makala ya Gatuzi Langu kila siku ya Jumatatu saa 5:30 hadi saa 6:30.
Hello, praise the Lord. My name is Pastor Joseph Musajawaza of Unfailing Love Ministries. I'm inviting you every Wednesday to join us on our program, Victory Through the Word. In this program, we teach you God's Word. We teach you to find solutions and answers to the struggles of life through the Word of God. Everything you ever go through in life, every pain, every tear, every worry, and every questions that you may ever have in this life. You may not get answers out there, but in God's Word, there are answers and there is a solution. The Bible says that God has exalted His Word above His name. In His Word, there is hope. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but His Word will always remain abide. I encourage you, engage with us as we study together, as you ask your questions, and let your questions be answered as you are built and as you hear God's Word. Our church is located in Umoja, Inako, near Olobon Hotel, just off Sango Stage along Moi Drive, and the court is known as Church Court. Give us a visit and your life will not remain the same. God bless you, and let's meet every Wednesday from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. only on EBN television.
We are happy to announce our nomination to FEMA 4th Annual Awards 2023. To vote for EBN TV as your media station of the year, dial *250*23#. Enter code 4204. Enter number of votes, then submit your votes. Each vote will cost you 10 shillings. EBN TV, transforming your world.
Now, welcome back. We do understand that Azimio currently is facing a standstill.
Yeah.
Odinga says it is just a good start.
Yeah.
Let's start from where it is as we look forward to solving these other issues.
Yeah.
But Martha Karua and the rest are saying it is actually not the deal. And what is actually surprising, Eugene Wamalwa was in that specific meeting,
Yeah.
but he is challenging and vowing not to sign on that report, because I understand every member must sign in agreement.
Yeah.
Now, is it that Eugene Wamalwa has lost the benefit he was after?
You know, the reason why they went to the streets besides challenging His Excellency the President's election, was the cost of living. Okay?
Yes.
And so they were able to amass as many Kenyans into their program, and they went into the streets for mass demonstrations. Now, having come out with the cost of living thing not being the top agenda, then Kenyans are watching, the ones who are in the streets. Because if they didn't prioritize the cost of living as an agenda, because remember, when they were, the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, leader of the Azimio team, said, now we have discussed every other thing, we had shelved the cost of living, it is now we want to start discussing the cost of living issue. Do you know how many days were left? I think 2. So that is how they trivialized the efforts of the Kenyans who made some sense for them by putting the government on the table to discuss. Okay? And had they considered that this is how it will, had they known that each one of them has got their own plans, has got their own agenda, then I think this time they wouldn't have this kind of split they have right now, because it would have been an Azimio thing. But Raila Odinga was okay, we have agreed, we'll form IBC, we'll be included in the formation of the IBC, we are there talking about the office of the opposition. Who takes it? Raila Odinga. So what happens, like I told you earlier, if State House wants to have any form of communication with the opposition, it must be through the office of the opposition, official office of the opposition. That means Martha Karua will have nothing to say unless she goes out to the streets by herself and says what she has to say. Now, Eugene Wamalwa the same, and Uhuru Kenyatta the same.
Now that is very interesting. You're bringing me to the point I was telling you earlier, rather asking, can these other parties amass a good number of individuals to take to the streets and demonstrate against the government's moves?
You see,
do they have the muscle?
What we are looking at, where is the support of Raila Odinga? We can say the whole Kenya, okay? But this is the whole Kenya when we have people from Mount Kenya, Western, and every other place in your team. But let me look at it as ODM. Where is the ODM power centered? It is centered in Nyanza, Western Kenya. Coastal is a split, okay? Has always been split. Northeastern, no guarantees. Eastern Province, no guarantees. If Kalonzo Musyoka chooses again to stand up, because he'll still make a statement, and wait and see. He'll make a statement. He's the one who was representing. So who is being bashed when you say that this thing is not right?
Kalonzo.
It's Kalonzo Musyoka. You didn't do a good job. Who else? Opiyo Wandayi, leader of opposition in parliament. And now the official opposition leader will now be having chances, getting chances to represent the opposition in parliament. Because he'll be appearing before Parliament to speak about what they think and what he has in mind as a team, collectively. But what does that mean to the minority leader now? These are just steps towards the real breakage of the Azimio thing. But ODM will remain intact.
Yes.
ODM as a party will remain intact. It's not a matter of mass demonstration, because if it was done by Western and Western supporters and majority of them who are in ODM, and if it was done by ODM itself, wouldn't have gone that far, because it went that far because it seemed the numbers were large, were enormous, because he was having support from Mount Kenya. Youth were out there demonstrating. I don't think they're now willing to demonstrate if the cost of living thing was not part of the agenda. So what I'm trying to say is that the Azimio thing was not meant to go very far. And I said it somewhere last year, that it will not go beyond 2024.
Now,
he's going to die by June.
Can Martha Karua alone, together with Eugene Wamalwa, organize any protest? Do they have the muscle?
Protest is just one way of expressing dissatisfaction. But gaining your results is the key thing in whatever strategy you apply. Either you go to the streets or you negotiate or you sabotage or boycott or you do whatever. There are so many things that can be done, and the influences are different. Okay, yeah. So I think what happens is that you may come up with something, and all of a sudden you get a formation that gives you an ally that helps you do what you have to do. I'll give you an example. Mwai Kibaki in 1992 was misquoted for 10 years when he said, "You people, you don't know the roots of KANU. It will take you much longer than you expect." And Raila Odinga and Jaramogi and the late Jaramogi, and honorably I'm mentioning them because they were there, Kenneth Matiba, they criticized. They said this guy is a coward. But who brought down KANU? He brought down KANU when he started fighting systematically and made sure that he made progress. Remember the successes that came around through the IPPG of 1997, the formation of IPPG. That one actually harmonized the minds of Kenyans. And when, by the time we were coming to 2002, while still Raila Odinga was with KANU, waiting to be handed over power by Moi as per their deal in 1997, 3 months or 2 months to elections, Moi announced his choice. So it was neither Kalonzo, nor Saitoti, nor Raila Odinga, nor Moses Musalia Mudavadi. Okay? They all missed out on this, and Uhuru Kenyatta was given. So where would they have gone? To form a political party and have it run countrywide and form, all these branches and do what must be done to have a political party have national face? They had to join the NK they deserted in 2002. So circumstances create themselves. When they came as a Liberal Democratic Party, they gave Kibaki the support. So when you look at Martha Karua, you may see Martha Karua as Martha Karua, but something can happen and you see all women marshalling their support for Martha Karua. That's a sure bet. They don't have to go to the streets and throw stones. They may not have the muscle to do that, but they can do some boycott. Every politician knows that if I don't depend on the vote of women, because they are the only people who promise you will vote for you, and they vote for you. But the young men, you have to buy them something, and they will not have their votes, and they will vote for you. Some of them will not vote for you. So these are the dynamics of politics and elections. So you may look at it as Martha Karua as not having enough, but I'm saying something comes around. Nobody knows the future. And somehow you gain the support that you never intended or thought you'd ever get. Kibaki never expected to get that kind of support, but he had already declared, I'm not quitting my path. So staying put in his path is what actually attracted these other guys into his staff, yes. NAK, and that's how they came to win.
Interesting. Now, as we are almost winding up, talk about the issue to do with yesterday night we did experience a blackout throughout the country. And many were saying this is just a scheme of the government. Someone was trying to explain to me what happens in terms of balancing power, controlling power. It is actually a very complicated issue, and sometimes it fails all the way from the National Control Center, trickling down to the other control units of power. But then it is very complicated. You have to make...
We're talking about Kenya Power?
Yes, Kenya Power itself. You have to make decisions on which line should you disconnect and allow the other line to run and all that. But it is also another issue to do with production.
When you have limited supply of power, then those kind of dynamics mentioned by the experts, those experts, would make sense. But we are talking about a country that has got solar. We've not tapped it. We have wind, which is not only in northeastern and eastern province, but it's also in Nairobi. We have turbines put up in on top of Ngong Hills, and many other hills that we have that can tap, and many other areas where we have free-flowing wind. We can have wind power tapped very well, and also be allowed, no politics, allow it to be fed into the electricity grid. Then it means we'll have alternative power. Hydro goes down, wind goes up. We have geothermal, more than enough. We've spoken about this many times. We have geothermal. If it's included into the grid, of course it is, but in small doses, you know. But we are at Olkaria 5 right now as we speak, Olkaria 5. So we could be having more than enough to work around with. We have wind power, we have solar power, we have geothermal. These alternatives, if they're put into or fed into the grid, I think just the way we see your generator here working, that goes off, the other one comes up, is the same thing that will be happening. So all these gimmicks that we hear, them explaining this to make sense that, and you know, power what, power this. If all sources of energy, natural sources of energy,
Yes.
are taken full advantage by the government, then I think we would have this not a problem. But because we have people generating power, when we talk about cartels and putting Kenyans under siege, the generators of power is very little that is actually pumped into the government, but they will sell at exorbitant price. Why would we go for some machines, you know, generating power when we have solar up here right now? It's on. We have wind still blowing naturally. We have geothermal providing us with the steam from the molten magma down there. We need to have these things tapped and this energy brought into the electricity grid. We would not experience this problem. And we wouldn't even go to Jinja, Uganda, if we're still there. We would be having our own power supply and actually sell it outside. Yeah.
So it's a matter of monopoly.
Yeah. It's just the way we can't talk about Turkana oil, and we have oil. Yeah.
Interesting. Basically, that is what is currently ongoing in the country, but we do hope many will be able to catch up. I was waiting to see that JKIA went off. I was waiting to see certain...
Somebody else being sacked.
Yes.
Well.
You know, these are issues that, and we recommend the other day when they issued directive that they should reinstall other new generators in that specific airport and make sure
this thing of generators. I think let's just have the government tap power, the Ministry of Energy, corruption mingi ishe.
Yes.
Tap energy from the natural sources. We have geothermal, we have solar, we have wind power. Let's use the three and see Kenya not only spending that energy on our industries, our vehicles, our domestic use 24/7, but we can even export it to other countries that need power.
Yes, we do have more than enough. And actually, the issue to do with the power has been critical.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think it's basically a matter of who gets what, when, and how.
Yeah.
It's about everyone tapping something from that specific source. And power has been critical. But anyway, this is Kenya. We do hope that there are better ways that the government can work around the specific systems that are in place to make sure that...
Do you know Europe had a project around 2009? Europe itself had a project to tap electricity in the Sahel regions, the Sahara Desert. They only wanted a portion, and they would have enough to supply to those Scandinavian countries that experience, snow and, this extreme cold weather.
Yes.
And they would get the supply from but ours is a desert. We only have pirates. That's how we, that's what we have as the best use of our natural resources. Good.
Interesting. Yes, basically that marks the end of EBN Morning Live today. Many thanks for tuning in. Once again, my name is Samiadika. Until next time, do have a wonderful day ahead, and remember to join Emmanuel Maru at exactly 11:30 a.m. for Gatuzi Langu, just to make sure you're up to date with matters affecting counties across the nation. Do have a wonderful day.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.